Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? What you doing? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. So I guess you can see here we are getting a blizzard which started late last night. Been going on all day today. Still going on. It slows and then it speeds up. So, and we've been getting a little bit of wind, not much, but just a little bit. But we got about 6 inches on the ground already, and this probably be like the biggest snowstorm we've had all year. I mean, since winter started. Okay, but it's not really cold enough for it to freeze. You know what I'm saying? So it's wet snow, heavy to shovel, and it's probably going to melt fast when it clears up. But all the businesses today are closed, and I know this because I was driving around in this shit, thinking I could go to the bank and make a withdrawal, but I went there and the bank was closed. But so was everything else. I mean, restaurants are closed. I think, and it's kind of funny because we've had bigger storms than this, and businesses would be open. But for some reason, the media, the weather people have really pumped this thing up as being some major disaster that's going to happen, where we're going to be losing power everywhere, which, the power hasn't gone out here yet. And usually, we'd be the first to know. But the idea that, they made it such a big thing that I guess it just scared the hell out of everybody. Plus, I think for businesses, they figured, well, there won't be a lot of people on the road, so there's not a lot of money to be had. So we'll just save money by shutting down for that day, and just, not have any expenses for that day. But I would expect that tomorrow they'll probably be open because the roads aren't that bad now. I mean, I was driving around, like I said, and it's pretty drivable. It's just that they had everybody scared about this storm here. But yeah, we're getting a lot. But I mean, come on. I mean, I'm 53 years old, and I just seen better and stronger winter storms than this. And this is really not, as far as I'm concerned, it's really not something to get all in a twist over. So I mean, it's, but so anyway, I wanted to talk about something here that really isn't being talked about much, and it's to do with Russia. Okay, now everybody. I mean, the only thing we know right now that's really Russia related is the war going on in Ukraine, but they're not really talking much about what's going on in Russia. Okay, probably because they got such a clamp on the news coming out of there that there's really not a whole lot to say. But I did find an article in an international media outfit called Apostrophe. And in Apostrophe, they have a story here, and let me read the title of this. It says, Russia plans to officially recognize the Taliban terrorists have already received an invitation. The Taliban terrorist organization, which may have been involved in the terrorist attack on the Crocus Concert Hall, may be recognized in Russia. This is stated in Russian public media. Thus, the possibility of removing the status of a terrorist organization from the Taliban was announced by the Russian Foreign Ministry together with the Ministry of Justice and other relevant agencies. The final decision on this issue will be made by the country's top political leadership. However, Russia is already taking concrete steps in this direction. In particular, Zamir Kabulov, the special representative of the Russian president in Afghanistan, told a Russian agency that the Taliban had been invited to participate in the Russia Islamic World Forum scheduled for May 14th through the 19th in Kazan. Kazan, I guess is how you say it. But in 2003, the Taliban movement was recognized as a terrorist organization in Russia after it was included in the UN Security Council's list. Earlier, the issue of removing the status has already been discussed in Russia. In 2020, Kabulov noted that this could happen after a similar decision by the UN Security Council. In October of 2021, Vladimir Putin said that Russia was on the way to making a decision to remove the Taliban from the list of terrorist organizations, but that such a decision must also be made at the UN. Putin noted that Russia maintains contacts with Taliban representatives, invites them to Moscow, and keeps in touch with them directly in Afghanistan. In July of 2021, representatives of the Taliban visited Moscow for talks. After these meetings, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov noted that the statements made by the Taliban showed that they were sane people, quote unquote. A month later, on August 15th, the Taliban announced the end of hostilities in Afghanistan and the complete seizure of power. After that, Taliban representatives visited Moscow again in October and made several visits to Russia in 2022 and 2023. So you're probably wondering why this is of concern to me. Okay. So let me try to explain this here by taking us back, a few decades here. During the 80s, we had the Cold War going on, okay? The United States and Russia were building bombs to beat all get out, okay? I mean, they were building nuclear bombs, and, they're still sitting in the ground to this day, okay? And that kind of kept us from going to war with each other, because we knew where it would end up if we did. Okay, we knew where it would end up if we did. So for all those decades, we tolerated shit, but we didn't really go to war to solve our differences. Okay, and I think it became a real problem, for both our governments, because we were itching to settle scores, okay? We were really itching to settle scores. I mean, we were destroying each other's spy networks. And our battles were being fought that way. And, it became a real problem. And then, over the years, it seemed like, we were, how can I put it? Other countries, basically the smaller countries, were doing a lot more fighting than they used to against each other. And then, of course, you got, Russia doing its own thing, fighting countries that really posed not much of a threat to them, like Afghanistan, but, they were going to war with them against the Taliban and, and the terrorists that were there. Okay, which they lost. Okay. And they had to pull out. And we spent 20 years in Afghanistan trying to calm that thing down, and for by and large, we didn't succeed there either. And that's why we had to leave in 2021. But here we are today. Russia's fighting Ukraine, and Israel and Hamas are at it, and United States supplies help to Israel, and we're supplying help to Ukraine, but we're not sending troops into these countries, because we know that that the people that they're fighting over there are all tied in some way, with Russia, okay? And therefore, that makes these wars being fought proxy wars, okay? So, what's a proxy war? Well, proxy war is like me hiring or getting somebody to fight my battle against some bully that's, instead of me physically doing the fighting myself to fight the bully, I get somebody else to do it. That person doing that is my proxy. He's fighting for me. Okay? Russia is fighting Ukraine. Okay? They're doing this direct. However, they're also fighting, I think, in some way in Hamas, because they support Iran. And Iran is kind of has a proxy fighter for them, which is Hamas, okay? And they're fighting Iran's war in Israel, okay? I see this overture by Russia with the Taliban as them opening up a door to an old enemy, okay? By saying, if you help us, you fight our enemy, like the enemy of my enemy is my friend, okay? They know the United States doesn't like the Taliban at all, okay? The Russians know that. I'm saying, what if these overtures here, that they're now that Russia's opening the door to people they don't even like, okay? That Putin is opening the door to the Taliban because maybe they're hoping the Taliban will do some fighting against the United States to keep, us off balance. Terror strikes, more 9/11s, and the Russians will back them. They'll fund them. They'll give them their weapons, whatever the fuck they need, what they want. As long as they're attacking U.S. targets, Russia will back them. I think that's maybe what's going to go on, because Russia's hurting. I don't know how bad people think Russia's suffering, but the sanctions have really crippled their economy over there big time. Okay, and there's talk that everything is falling apart in Russia. Well, that means these are desperate times for the Russian people and for Putin, because he's got to wrap this thing up. I mean, this can't be a forever war for them, because there won't be a Russia left to fight. I mean, you know what I'm saying? to have. I mean, Russia will be completely like a third world country before they ever resolve whatever fights they're doing here. So they're gonna fight. They're gonna go dirty now. They're gonna fight dirty by getting some really nasty people, okay, to help fight along, with maybe not alongside Russian military, but at least in the background, they'll be there, okay, as, hit and run fighters, basically. And, I feel like they're reaching out to them as proxy fighters for Russia, okay? And the reason why I say that, it's a convenient way for them is because Russia can deny, oh, we had nothing to do with the attack on X, Y, and Z in the United States, okay? That's not our doing, okay? So we don't go to World War III over it. But if they get the Taliban in there, I mean, the United States is not going to go to World War III with the Taliban. Okay, so the United States will direct its assaults, at terrorist targets, wherever they may be. Okay, but Russia will have deniability on its side, especially in the face of the UN, especially if they can't come up with any connection at all between Russia and the Taliban. Even though in this article it says that they're having a conference, okay. And this article was published here Tuesday, April 2nd, okay. And so this is pretty recent. At least it is, as according to them. I mean, this story is probably old news by now. But depending on how easy it was to get this information to publish for the rest of the world, okay, for Apostrophe to get it. Like I said, it's a sign that there could be some collusion now going on between Taliban and Russia, and it's just that should be of concern to us. because that means that they're going to ratchet this thing up. I mean, they're sick and tired of the United States helping Ukraine. Okay, so now the Russians are going to ask for terrorist groups to go in there and counter this somehow, attack targets. One of the targets, I think, the Taliban, if they start to work for Russia to do these things, is going to be that pier that they're building for the Palestinian, the supplies that we're going to be sending over in Israel or wherever on that Gaza Strip there. That pier is going to be target number one. Remember how I said a few videos back that our military had better be ready to defend that, because that's going to be the first target they're going to blow up to stop any more aid going into that area. Okay? And I'm still saying that now. It's still a legitimate target. I mean, they're building that, and they're going to take that pier down, one way or the other. And, maybe the Taliban will be the ones to do it. Maybe it'll be, Hamas. I don't know. I mean, the more terrorist groups you put into that region, the more inflamed that whole situation over there is going to get. Okay? But I think, Putin will probably also use them in Ukraine to go inside, to get behind the enemy lines and start taking out targets in Ukraine. God forbid a nuclear power plant, which has been a concern to everybody in the world about, because we're sitting here logging shells back over these damn nuclear nuclear power plants, and they haven't been hit yet, but Jesus Christ, I mean, one stray shell and you're going to be looking at a nuclear meltdown, and another Chernobyl. Okay, so with that in mind, I mean, those targets would soon become legitimate targets for a losing Russia in this fight in Ukraine, because Ukrainians, they, as long as we're giving them help by aiding them with weapons and whatever backing that helps them, they're just going to keep fighting. Okay, and I don't know, I can't say with 100% certainty if the United States is sending over troops, unmarked troops, just to fight alongside the Ukrainians, to give them, I mean, I don't know, okay? I mean, it's very easy to send people over there to fight for the United States, as long as they're not wearing United States markings on a uniform or something, and that they avoid capture. I don't know. Okay, I can't tell you that. If I was president, I would probably be doing that. Okay, just to see this war come to an end, I would send whatever fucking shit I need to send over there to get it done. Okay, so yeah, I guess I would be one that would escalate this fight to stop this war, just to keep the Russians out of Ukraine. Not to invade Russia, but to push the Russians out. And that's it. And stop at the border. And then arm that fucking border with every goddamn tank and everything you've got. And I'd start giving Ukrainians nuclear weapons. Because if Russia finds out they got nukes to launch against them, I mean, that's going to make Russia, or Putin, I think Putin would think twice about continuing or escalating anything else further. Okay, because right now, Ukraine, they got rid of their nukes. As far as I know, they don't have any. But if you gave them some, if we gave them, a few of our, I mean, you only need to have like one or two, right? I mean, because if you got one trained on Moscow, hey, that's a big threat. The central government. I mean, you put one there and say, this is what's going to happen if you don't stop this. This would bring both sides to a ceasefire, and maybe, cooler heads could prevail here. Okay. I mean, that's why we didn't go to World War III during the Cuban Missile Crisis, which, was as close as we ever got to it, as far as I know. Because neither side wanted to sacrifice one city for another. Okay, so at the end of the day, they decided, it wasn't worth it. So, like I said, I feel like you know, these are warning signs that something could be brewing with between the Russians and the Taliban. Like I said, the Taliban was not liked by Russia for a long time, and they like I said, they went to war with them and lost. And at the same time, they're despised. I mean, you know, for them to go to this extreme, to reach out for help from a former enemy. And think about it, 9/11 was the Taliban's resume saying, hey, we're capable of taking it this far. And right now, Putin, that's a pretty good, tempting thing for Putin. He's liking that right now, 9/11, that the Taliban was able to pull that off, okay? He's liking that. And right now, he's probably so pissed right now at the United States that he's willing to do this, to fund Taliban, to get them to go and do this again, another 9/11, another one, as many as you can possibly do, and we'll back it, we'll get you in there. So I'm hoping that, our NSA, which didn't do a very good job stopping 9/11, okay, if you watch that video I had posted here on my Ordinary Talk page, there's a video here about a system we had called ThinThread, which was by all accounts, a masterpiece of a system to be able to spot, problems before they become problems. How that system was replaced by a substandard system, which violated our privacy rights, at the same time selling information to corporations that can use it to track our where we go online, so they know what to advertise to us, or what I'm saying, sort of like collecting data, which is what they still do to us today. I mean, that's what we're currently fighting about with things like Facebook and all these companies, about why, stop collecting our private, browser searches in our history. Stop collecting all this data. It's, we don't want you tracking us where we're going, so you can hit us with certain advertisements that are connected to what we're looking at. Okay, that's the only way. That's how they find out. Is by getting that information. Well, they were making all kinds of money off of that from the government too, because with a substandard security system, they can keep going back to Congress and saying, we need more money, we need more money, we need more money, to plug up the holes, when they never actually intend to plug up anything. Okay, they just want that need to be there, just like the border issue that the Republicans don't want to deal with because it makes a perfect campaign thing to run on. They don't, like when Trump told them not to sign that bill. Okay, that's the same thing. That's the same damn thing that's going on with the security system. So in that video, I mean, I know I'm talking a lot about that video, so it's really something you got to watch, okay, because it should scare the shit out of you as to where the priority our national security agencies' priorities are in relation to protecting our country. And you're going to find out that it's just not there. I mean, their priorities are making money, not really protecting the country. Now, if we got to sacrifice 3,000 people just to point out that we need more money, we'll let that happen. So right now, well, you got Russia going to the Taliban and asking for help, okay? I think that's what they're doing. I'm not saying they're asking for help. I'm saying the two sides are talking where they never would have before. But now they are, and we know what's going on in Russia. Desperate times. So if we see that this is going on, and we see that our national security thing is not up to par where it ought to be, we could be looking at, a possible 9/11 or another American target being blown to hell, from a terrorist strike, which Russia would have authorized the Taliban to do. Well, not that they need it, but just to say, we'll give you whatever amount of money you need and whatever weapons you need to do it. But that's what they're doing. So that's my concern about that article, and why I thought I should say something about it here. So I hope that it doesn't happen. I really do. Okay, and like I said, I'm just taking that story and kind of building on it with theories here, okay? I'm not saying there's any fact yet to back it up, but from an outsider here looking at this story and looking at what's going on in Ukraine, Russia, Israel, all these things, it's all connected somehow. You know, it's got to be connected, right? Because, you know, at the end of the day, it's still the same damn country where, you know, that's causing the trouble, and that's Russia, okay? And whoever or whatever is making this thing continue here, it's going to ratchet levels of panic up, you know, in Russia, because they're on the losing side of this thing, okay? And their people are starving over there in Russia, you know, as always. I mean, that country is always going to be in a famine all the time. But people are, you know, are not happy about what's going on. You know, they just had an election over there where their opponent was assassinated, okay? And so Putin, he walks around like the conquering hero, you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, it was such a big fight, when it was no fight at all. He had, you know, he knew he was going to win. He didn't have to fucking ask anybody or count any votes, okay? He was going to be the winner. He's a dictator, all right? No democracy there anymore, okay? Just an illusion. On the surface, they say it's a democracy. Underneath, it's a dictatorship, okay? That's what we're trying to fight happening here in the United States, okay? Which is why the right wing is out there underneath working the system to try to make a dictatorship, while on the surface, we're still up saying, oh, it's a democracy. Okay.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Putin's turn from you, they glance behind. The President of the United States is in In Mar-a-Lago dark, he feels despair. A tower of debt now grown beyond repair. Age and senility now hold their sway. So sad to see his power shrivel up and fade away. From massive legal fees, he's deep in debt. His power over you grows stronger yet. Click here to give him cash. His coffer fills. Look past the fraud, ignore his mental ills. Just pay his bills. Phantom of the mega. He's there, the phantom of the mega.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
So, one of the other things here to talk about, published today from The Independent, written by Oliver O'Connell, Joe Summerlad, and Mike Bettigan. It's entitled, Trump Fraud Bond Questioned by Prosecutors as Judge Denies Classified Docs Dismissal Attempt. Donald Trump has refiled paperwork for the bond to appeal his New York civil fraud case ruling, but Attorney General Letitia James says she needs more information about the company that underwrote the $175 million. Her office filed notice on Thursday asking for evidence that Knight Specialty Insurance Company, KSIC, Knight Specialty, can pay up if needed. The former president would remain on the hook for the remainder of the total $464 million judgment against him should his appeal fail. Regarding his criminal cases, Mr. Trump has been dealt two other legal blows this week. In his Manhattan hush money case, his bid to have the trial delayed on the grounds of presidential immunity was rejected by Judge Juan Merchan, who has also expanded a gag order on the former president. Meanwhile, the Florida judge Aileen Cannon, or some people like to call her Aileen Loose Cannon, has denied his motion to dismiss the classified documents case based on the Presidential Records Act, which Mr. Trump claims gave him the authority to retain papers containing national security information. Judge Cannon also denied special counsel Jack Smith's request for a prompt ruling on jury instructions prior to trial. She called the prosecution's request unprecedented and unjust. Mr. Smith has criticized the judge's handling of this case. The key points here: the Trump motion to dismiss classified documents case based on Presidential Records Act is denied. Judge denies Trump's bid to dismiss election interference case. Trump files new fraud bond documents after rejection by New York court. Judge denies Trump's bid to delay hush money trial on a presidential immunity grounds. Jack Smith urges Florida classified documents judge to dismiss Trump's pure fiction. Republican revives border bloodbath rhetoric as he scaremongers over migrants and calls them animals. So a lot of setbacks here for Trump this week, and somehow, even though that might seem like good news on the surface, that he's having these problems, to me it seems like delay. He gets the setbacks, but things get delayed further down the road. Okay, pushing things closer to November. And like I said, I really feel like the system, the justice system, is really pushing thumbs up or thumbs down on Trump being president on us. I mean, they're, instead of just going by the rule of law as it's set in the fucking books of no less, okay, on how to deal with some asshole who tried to overthrow his country, instead they're like, I don't want to do that because, something could happen to me or something could happen. So let's let the voters decide. Okay, let's just throw this on the lap of the voters. This is an election year. We don't have to make a decision about Trump up or down. Okay, let's let the voters go to the poll and decide his fate. Okay, well, okay, say that he is denied the White House. Is that really enough of a punishment for a guy who's committed the crimes he's committed? Okay, think about that for a minute. You think about the fucking 91 charges, felonies now, not just like throwing trash on the ground, felonies, criminal fucking felonies that this guy has, and he's already been convicted on some. Okay, think about that for a minute. He hasn't spent one fucking day in prison yet. Not one day, and and with all the gag orders that the judges have put on his ass to shut up and not, you know, disrespect the court, he's been out there doing everything to do just that. Okay, he doesn't care about who he's, you know, sublimely threatening here. Okay, a judge's daughter or something like that. You know, he's hoping that his minions out there will take a hint and go after these people that he's pissed off at. That's why he does this shit. Okay. He's intimidating the courts, and that right there ought to be enough to put him fucking behind bars. I mean, if it was some guy who wasn't running for president, if it was just some fucking mafia prick that was out there saying the same goddamn things that he's been saying when he's outside of the courtroom, don't you think his ass would be sitting behind bars right now? You know it, and I know it. Okay? But because it's Donald fucking Trump, okay? Because it's him, and the shit that he managed to pull off, you know, on January the 6th, you know, everybody's all shaking in their fucking shoes over this guy. Okay? It's like, well, if you guys are so afraid, why have a police force? You know, are you thinking that all the police in the country, all your national security, everybody's on Trump's side? I mean, is that why you're afraid? Is you think that Trump owns the government already? That he's got so many allies in the government that, you know, you guys couldn't even call for help because they would just come over and shoot you themselves if they had to, or set you up. I mean, do you think he's really got that kind of power just because he was president, that he, you know, still has, you know, a toe to the door to keep it open so that way he can get help inside the government if he needed it? I mean, if that's the case, then what the hell have you guys been doing all this time investigating him? Haven't you tracked down all his connections, all his buddies that he hangs around? You know, you must have picked up on that. So why is everybody so fucking eager to just say, you know, okay, well, I put a gag order on, but I'm not going to enforce it. Okay, so you basically cut your own balls off. Cut the balls off the fucking law, which is really just words now. It doesn't mean a goddamn thing if you're not going to enforce it. Why have a gag order at all if you're not going to enforce it? Okay? Because, oh, we don't want to look too weak, right? If I don't issue a gag order, then it's going to encourage all kinds of people to do the same thing and say, well, you never punished Trump over it, you know? So the court has to do something, even though it's in name only, a gag order, which, you know, doesn't mean a fucking thing if you're not going to back it up. So, you know, already the justice system is crumbling at his feet. And the fact that he was supposed to pay $400.5 billion, okay, to the courts, and somehow he's trying to wiggle his way off that hook. You know, who else could get away with something like that? He gets this fly-by-night outfit to underwrite $175 million, and Letitia James as well, she's trying to say, well, I want to know if they can even pay it. You know, they underwrote that, but I want to know if they can pay it. If I have, you know, fuck that. You know, it's crazy how the justice system is bending into pretzels here for this fucking guy, and they're not enforcing a damn thing. And we're going to entrust that they will do the right thing, that they will punish him if it need to happen. You know, even though they find out that he committed treason against his country, he stole military secrets, had him in his bathroom as reading material for any Joe Blow that ever goes in there to read stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on. You know, the whole thing is a laughing stock. I mean, it's a Comedy Central fucking setup. You know, I mean, you would think this is like some kind of a fucking movie developed by Chevy Chase, you know, about, oh, some president, you know, and all this stuff. because that's really how the justice system is is operating right now. It's a fucking clown show. And even though Trump had some setbacks today, okay, they're really not setbacks, they're delays, which is in his favor. He wants delays. So it's not a setback, it's a victory. Whenever the judges are not willing to make any rulings right off over obvious materials, okay, or to enforce gag orders, it's a victory. And he knows this. That's why he's feeling like, you know, they can't touch me. I'm untouchable. Okay, I'm going to go out and start spewing more hatred, threatening more people, or at least, you know, implying that somebody's life should be threatened, you know, and go around and saying these things, and then brag about I could stand, you know, in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and nothing would happen to me. Well, he's proving that he could do just that. I mean, what was made as a brag actually is the fucking truth. Okay, and the Justice Department can't seem to fucking prove to us that he can't. It's like people say, it's a double, triple, quadruple tier system in the justice system. Okay, depending on who you are, depends on what kind of justice you get for your crimes. If you're poor, goodbye. Either electrocuted you or life in prison. If you are at the top, Donald Trump, oh, they won't punish you. They'll give you rewards. They'll delay your day in court. They'll play your little footsie games until, you know, they feel like they can't go any further with it. Which in this case would be November. Because after November, if he loses, okay, chances are they won't really do anything then to him. Okay, no matter what they get on this guy, he'll probably die before he spends 1 hour in prison. He'll probably die before that because, you know, he's already falling apart mentally right now, which means his health is on the down, okay? He ain't going to make it. If he makes it to November without some kind of mental collapse or some heart attack or something, that'll be interesting, okay? But I can tell you right now, he ain't in the best of health, and he shouldn't even be president on that basis alone, okay? Biden is in better health than him, but even Biden shouldn't be president because of his age and health and whatever, okay? I'm just saying, not saying don't vote for Biden. I'm saying, you know, let's keep what we got in there now because things are going in the right direction, more or less, okay? And Trump would just veer us way off course, and we'd end up right back in the fucking, you know, his first term, where we're all wiping our asses with coffee filters. Okay, all right. He couldn't handle one crisis that was in his administration, and that's proof enough right there that he couldn't handle anything beyond that. But like I said, it's really sad that our justice system really can't do more. It really is. I mean, how long has this shit been going on with Trump? I mean, ever since Biden was president, from that time on, we've been going after Trump for all kinds of things that he did wrong. All kinds of things. And, you know, up to now, you know, it's really been, yeah, he's lost some money, and, you know, he's hired a lot of people. A lot of people have gone to prison for him, okay? A lot of his associates have, you know, cut ties to him. He's lost on that, okay? You know, but otherwise, you know, it just feels like it's just like a businessman having a bad business day, basically, is how this looks on the outside of us looking in. All these legal troubles, it feels like the severity of it is a businessman having a bad day with his company, okay? Which is something he's used to. How many times did he go bankrupt? So, I mean, he's used to that, losing things and stuff like that, but he's also used to regaining what he's lost, okay? Which means unless he's in prison, he's not really losing anything. He's got, you know, he's got ways to get back what he loses. All right, you already see that other people are sticking their necks out for him again. Okay, making deals with him again. You know, and yet there's a trail of tears behind him of all the people that's ever got in bed with this guy. Okay, and you know. He has no loyalty to anybody. It's, you know, what can you do for me at the moment? And after you do what you do, I don't know you anymore. Throw you under the bus. All these people are setting themselves up that are helping him to become more roadkill for this son of a bitch. And that's the sad part of it, is that, you know, people are just lining up to be his suckers. You know, and it's been that way since day one with that guy, hasn't it? I mean, day one. I mean, they all want to kiss the fucking ring. You know. Anyway, that's it for today. So I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Subscribe and comment, and treat each other nice out there. Keep your ears open for any colds or flus or whatever. You know, keep yourself healthy. I'll talk to you later.